Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Constantly Calibrating Podcast. As always, live on Mixer. I am your host, Josh, joined by my special guest, the BAFTA-winning voice actor and awesome person, Cissy Jones.
Hi, how's it going?
Going all right. As we said, kind of like a little pre-show rambling thing, I'm just excited to get to talk to you. We met back at PAX West 2017.
I think so.
Pretty much, I was going to cheer on a couple of mutual friends of ours, Ash and Mylan Barrows. You were doing a panel with them, and I think you actually spotted my Firewatch shirt and signaled me over. We ended up chatting, ended up hanging out a little bit, and I've been looking forward to actually getting a proper podcast going for a while. But crazy thing is, you're an incredibly busy person.
Well, it is both a blessing and a curse, and yes, I work a lot.
Yes, no, I mean that's good.
It's great.
Oh, you keeping and working stuff like that. It's awesome. I want to talk about some of that work, but I kind of wanted to start this off with kind of the beginning, as it were.
Okay.
Led you to voice acting and to this crazy world.
The Simpsons.
Simpsons?
Short story, The Simpsons.
Short story, The Simpsons. Okay.
Long story. I used to work in the Silicon Valley for like 10 years. I was a stooge, and I hated it. I mean, there were things that I liked. I had some great bosses, and I had some not great bosses, and I had some great experiences. But it was like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. You know, it just wasn't me. And I went on a trip to Alaska and had 8 days on the open ocean and 9 days on the open ocean. Was talking with my family and my now husband, and we were talking about dream jobs. And I said, I've always wanted to be a voice on The Simpsons, but you probably just have to live in Hollywood. I don't even know how. And 2 weeks after we got home from that trip, Nancy Cartwright, who is Bart Simpson, was on the radio talking about voiceover and how great it is, and it's the best job in the world. And oh, by the way, there's a voiceover school like an hour away from you, Jones. And I got on the phone that day, and I started taking classes that week. And 2 years later, I had an agent, and I was able to quit my job and completely change careers.
That's absolutely amazing. Just like that kind of, I have this idea. I want to do this thing. How do I do this thing? One of the biggest voice actors says, "Hey, this is how you do this thing," and then
this is how you do the thing.
Next thing you know, you're doing the thing.
And I will say, I poured myself into it. I continue to pour myself into it. So while I say 2 years, and that doesn't sound like a lot of time, I was taking 5 or 6 classes a week. The classes I couldn't take, I learned how to engineer so that I could sit in and listen from people and meet the directors and all of that. I went into overdrive because I knew that this was it. And I knew that if this didn't work out, it would be of my own failing. And I wasn't going to let that happen because I'm stubborn.
That's good. Well, I think that's one of the things with a lot of creative professions, but particularly, anyone who's been to a convention has heard the common question you get hear asked: how do you become a voice actor?
How do I get into voiceover?
Yeah, it's one of the most common questions asked, because I think a lot of the average people think, oh, you go in front of a microphone and you talk, and they just see that basic thing. I wanted to be a voiceover person when I was younger, and because in my mind I do cool voices.
Right.
There's no logic or rhyme or reason behind it. It just says I do cool voices that people like, and I can do some really fun impressions. But I never thought beyond that. But I think that's the common thing. But what you'll constantly hear is, no, here's what you have to do. Here's the training you have to do. Here's the knowledge you have to do. You have to do the research. Also, it's one of the most competitive creative fields there is. So it doesn't even if you have just a natural talent for this kind of stuff, you still have to, own your craft and actually get out there.
You do. And, to work in this field today, it's a lot of hustle. I am never sitting idly by, as you know, since we've been trying to plan this thing for a year and a half.
Yeah.
I don't sit around twiddling my thumbs waiting for my agent to call. Yeah. I am working with new coaches. I'm meeting new people. I'm having lunch. I'm doing interviews. I'm constantly moving, because the second I stop moving, someone else is moving somewhere else, and I lose out. So I get a lot of people that are like, well, everyone tells me I have a great voice. And like, that's amazing. And congratulations.
Mazel
It takes
tov.
so much more than that. Yeah. Happy Hanukkah. It takes so much more than that. Like, you have to know how to act, and you have to know what to do with your voice. And you have to be present, and you have to be available, and you have to, you have to do the things. And it's a lot more than just sitting in front of a microphone and flapping your lips.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember chatted with at the beginning of the year Alex Wilton Regan, who's done Mass Effect and a bunch of other things, Dragon Age, and she and I had the opportunity to meet at E3. We chatted a little bit, tried to make just like plans for what was supposed to be like, let's go get a drink together. And she's like, well, I'm from the UK. Let's see where I can fit this in my schedule, because I'm in LA and I have to run around, do things. And literally, I bumped into her on the street maybe 3 times during E3, watching her just full mad sprinting, down the street trying to get to her locations, because that's the hustle.
Yeah.
You do to make this work.
Yeah. It is crazy pants, and it's great, and I love it, and there's nothing else I want to do with my life. But it's crazy.
Oh yeah. I can't even begin to imagine back if maybe like 2-3 years ago, when I really was diving deep into podcasting and getting people telling me those comments of, hey, you got a good voice for radio, or you got a good voice for this, or those kind of things. I started researching, well, maybe voice acting is for me again. Maybe I'll do some like student project kind of things and like see where that takes me. And then as I was doing the research, and as I was looking into the voice coaching and all those different kind of things, I was like, or I'll just be a dad, because my first kid's gonna be born soon, and I'll just see where ConCal takes me. Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing is in addition to taking a lot of time, it's expensive. Oh, yeah. Good coaching is not cheap, and it shouldn't be. If it seems too good to be true, it is. If someone is telling you, come take a weekend class with me and you'll get a demo by the end of it, they're lying. Mm-hmm. It's not good quality. And the last thing you want to do is put out a bad quality demo, because in the age of the internet, it never goes away. Yeah. So
best advice.
I will now step down off my podium.
No. The best advice I've ever heard related to demos and stuff like that is, not best advice, but like one of the pieces of advice I've heard is, it's better to not put out a demo than put out a shitty demo.
Yeah. The thing I've told people recently is, if you really want to get into voiceover, if it is your dream in life to get into voiceover, find a good coach, a reputable coach, and work with them until they say, I think you might be ready. And then find another coach, a reputable coach, and work with them until, I think you might be ready. And then find a third. And when the third one says it, and you've got 3 people agreeing who know the industry, who know the trends, who know the agents, then you've got a viable shot. That is my advice. And it ain't cheap, and it ain't overnight. And I thank you. I will now step down.
Thank you. Good night.
Tip you, waitress. Okay, bye.
But that's the thing. Also, that's one of the things I think you also have to accept. It's expensive to get into. It's time consuming to get into. And even after all those things, you still might not make it as whatever you see yourself as making it, because we all have different interpretations of what making it is in whatever our industry. So it's exhausting, but let's side into so one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you for years now is Firewatch. I'm too cold to wear it properly, but I am wearing a Firewatch shirt under my hoodie because
I am wearing my Golden Girls shirt.
Oh, nice. Hey, no, seriously, Golden Girls. I haven't watched that in a long time, actually, but that was my go-to show for a very long time, and I want all the Funko Pops.
Yes.
But yeah, so Firewatch is near and dear to my heart. It was one of the from what the game meant to me, but also from a professional standpoint. It was the first preview streaming opportunity I was ever given, where Constantly gave me a preview code of the game. It was the first, I don't know, hour-ish or something like that. I got to go into it. Myself and one of my then hosts for the program, we fell in love with the game, and more importantly, we fell in love with Delilah from that little snippet, and the joke became on the podcast, how do we get Cissy Jones on the show? And the show has changed a lot over the years for exactly how we run stuff, but that was just became one of a mini running gag. Even after he left Constantly Calibrating, it became like this little thing we message each other. every now and again. So has Cissy Jones agreed to come on the show yet? I don't know. How the fuck do I contact
hello.
her? Hello. So now we have you. So I want to talk about Firewatch, particularly because the timing works out in this really well. If we had done this 2 or 3 weeks ago when we originally tried, I wouldn't have known the news that Firewatch is coming out to the Switch on, I believe, December 17th.
Yeah, right around the corner.
Right around the corner. It's actually, when this releases, I think it will have already come out, but still, it's coming to the Switch, or on the Switch, where you live in time right now. And I'm excited. So I want to talk, was Delilah in Firewatch, was this we're talking about how sometimes you go searching for projects and sometimes projects find you. Was this project you found or found you?
This project found me, and it was the most incredible result of pure symbiosis.
Okay.
So back when I made the switch to become a voice actor, I was living in San Francisco, and I had an agent in San Francisco, and my second audition was for this new game coming out called The Walking Dead by Telltale.
Sure.
And I got this audition for this Belgian woman, and she spoke to me. And so I auditioned her. I obviously booked it, became Katya. And at the wrap party for The Walking Dead, which, first off, like, that game was so interesting because we work in such a void in voice acting and video games. We record on our own. We sometimes meet the director. Sometimes it's over Skype. Sometimes it's on our own. We never meet other voice actors. It's just a void. But through that game, I ended up meeting some of my very dearest friends: Melissa Hutchison, Owen Thomas, Gavin Hammond, Aaron Yvette. We met because of that game. And the second we met, we were instant friends because of what we had been through with this game. So I get to the wrap party, and I see Sean Vanneman walking across, and I was like, is that Sean Vanneman? Because I had never met him. By that point, I had moved to LA. And my director, Julian, was like, yeah. And so I ran up and I said, Sean, I'm Katya. And he goes, Katya, oh my God. And he just threw his arms around me and he was like, you were so amazing. I don't know how you nailed that accent, but I wrote her after someone I knew as a kid and you sounded exactly like her, and blah, 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 whatever. So great. Cool. Loved it. So like 6 months later, I get a DM and it's Sean, and he says, hey, I've left Camposanto. Or I've left Telltale. I've started a new game company. We're writing a new game with a female protagonist. Are you in? And I said, uh-huh.
Go on.
Go on. And that was it. I mean, and then it was like a year until we actually started recording. So of course I went through all the self-doubt of like, have I been recast? Oh my God, are they moving? Did they hire like Catherine Zeta-Jones? Like, what's happening? You go through the whole thing. Because at that point I'd been recast on a couple of things because I didn't have enough Twitter followers. And so I was super self-conscious, and it just took them a while to get everything off the ground and find their Henry. And then we started recording, and it was magic. It was just magic.
I mean, that's outstanding. That's one of the things. Again, I've enjoyed voice acting for years. I've understood the importance of voice acting and stuff like that. But that was one of those games that came like at this really good time in my life where it actually just like literally showed me the importance of it, because that game is it's an old adventure style game almost. It's like a 3D version of a point and click adventure game to an extent, but it's all about the dialogue, because without Henry and Delilah talking, what would be that game? You know what I mean? It's just how that worked worked so well. So I always appreciated what you brought to that role, because I fell in love with the character. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure I talked about Delilah to my wife so much that she's like, who the fuck is this? is this Delilah? And I still now harass her every few months. I'm like, no, you need to play Firewatch. You need to understand this. You need to understand why it is that I scheduled a podcast for a Monday morning when it's your break day to not have to watch the kids. You need to understand why I needed to have this podcast at this time, because I'm talking to Delilah's voice actors. I'm talking to a friend. This is important. Kind of thing. So
no, it's interesting because my brother was like, I'm hearing a lot about this game. Do I need to play it? And I was like, well, how weird do you want to feel about me? And he was like, oh God, no.
There are some scenes. It's been a little while since I played a game, but there are some scenes in that game that are a little some steamy dialogue.
I used to get text messages from my friends being like, "Stop hitting on my boyfriend," and I was like, "I'm sorry."
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I just love the lasting impression that game has had on a lot of people. And the effect that had me. I think I wrote like 4 articles.
I love it. You'll have to send them to me.
I will. Yeah. I've trying to remember what they were on, but it was a while ago. I will link them, and they'll probably be linked also in this post because I'm a whore for my own content.
Aren't we all?
Oh no, of course. if you're not sending your stuff continuously out to people at every opportunity, what are you?
I know.
I don't want to jump a little to more recent. Again, worked out. If we talked about 3 weeks ago, it would have been an upcoming game. Now it's a released game, Darksiders 3.
Darksiders 3, yeah.
That is. I remember reading that you were cast as Fury, that you were going to be playing the character, and I was like, I have to play a Darksiders game apparently. And then the reviews have been coming out, and for everything said about the game, one of the most common things I see about the game is people talking about the role you played and how strong of a character. So what was it like getting to play something in that setting, this like Horseman of the Apocalypse kind of the world character?
It's rad. It's so rad. And the people working on that game are so incredible. It's just been such a phenomenal experience start to finish. That game kind of came about in a roundabout way in that I auditioned for the trailer, and I booked the trailer before the game had been cast. So it was a 4-word audition: hello, brother, and with pleasure. And that was my audition. And I booked it, and I booked the trailer, and the trailer got like 4 million views overnight or something bananas. And then I found out that the game was being made, and I wasn't her, and I was like, okay, why? And so I started calling around to my friends in the industry and like, hey, do you know anybody who's made blah, blah, blah? Long story short, we found the people that were casting it and convinced them to hear me out. And so I delivered an audition for Fury, and they loved it and brought me on. And it was, I normally play strong women, which I love, but this is a whole different breed of strong woman, right?
Yeah.
Like she is ballsy, and she takes no prisoners, and she doesn't mind telling you that she's effing bored of listening to you talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she was so much fun. And, but it was also, you walk the line of having it be one dimensional with, her name is Fury. Like she's just angry about everything all the time. So how do you make her more relatable and not just a one-note, one-trick pony? And so we had some fun with that, and they let me play with her and, improv a little bit here and there, and had my own snarkery, and it was so much fun. It was such a wonderful experience. I loved it.
That's outstanding. That's great. And that was one of the things I was going to ask, like, how do you make a character that just based on name alone is seemingly one note, kind of thing, and turn it into this performance, So, yeah, I really need to play the Darksiders game so I can get to that, because I keep hearing just wonderful things. Justin on my team, my creative director, we do a weekly show called the Catch-All Gaming Podcast, which I'll go watch and listen. But with that show, we do reviews and stuff like that, previews, where we're at in games, and Darksiders 3 has been one of his big ones. And we were talking about it, and I'm pretty sure 20% of the conversation, at least, was talking about Cissy Jones, voice acting kind of thing. So you're I'm discovering as we're doing this show, wow, we talk about you a lot. Constantly Calibrating. This is a little weird, actually, now in hindsight, but it works out. But one of the things is I want to talk about the differences between kind of doing different stuff, because one of the things that surprised me, because I know you from gaming stuff, I know you from that kind of stuff, but when I went to your website, I was looking through and I was listening to a lot of stuff you've done. I don't know how I didn't realize that you've done like trailers and stuff like that, like John Wick 2, Division, and things like that. Like, I know your voice, but I know your character voice is almost more where
Yeah.
so when I hear a character voice, I'm like, oh, I can hear Cissy's voice in this, but
I'm about to blow your mind right now. You live in Arizona, right?
yeah. What?
Stop by Fry's this week for broccoli, only $2.99 a bunch.
I'm out. No.
Great food, or what is it? Fresh food, famous low prices at Fry's.
Holy shit. So it's one of those weird things when you know someone's voice so much really well, you don't hear it always when it's their actual, when the actual voice or a direct pull from their voice.
Well, if you're not expecting it, like in video games, to keep an ear out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not necessarily thinking about that in trailers or commercials or promo or narration. You know what I mean? So
most
that's
of those
good
work
for me.
in a subliminal way. It's also you're not paying attention sometimes, so it's just needling into your brain versus direct.
You don't listen to the Fry's commercials word for. Come on, man. No, I mean honestly, it's good for me because that means that people don't get sick of me.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So I do work a bit in trailers. I want more. Trailers are pretty tricky beast to break into, but I'm working on it. My goal for 2019 is Wonder Woman 2, so just put that out in the universe for me.
You keep getting to my next question, like every single time. Like my next thing was going to be like dream roles, franchises, or things you really want to do moving forward, which I'll ask that properly in a minute. But
okay.
Yeah, no, Wonder Woman though, I would love to hear you as the voice of the trailer for that.
Because when's the last time you heard a woman on a trailer campaign?
That was what I was about to say is, hearing women in a commercial as the announcer for a commercial, that is, depending on what the product is, you hear that. But for movie trailers, TV show trailers, that's just not a common thing. And regardless of what the product is, there needs to be more of that. And certainly for Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm putting it out there. So it's time. It's time. I know so many insanely talented women that if it's not going to be me, it should be one of them. Mm-hmm. I was up for a trailer campaign this last summer that was a female-directed, female buddy comedy. And I recorded a ton of spots, and I recorded at 11:30 at night, and I recorded on camping trips with my family. And at the last minute, they switched to have a guy do it. And I'm over it. Like, come on. It's a lady's turn. So that's my goal for 2019.
I like it.
Aim big.
If you're not going to aim big, then what are you doing? Is my thing. All of my goals for 2018 and now I'm working on my goal list for 2019 is, I categorize stuff between the likely, the possible, and the dream. And the dream goals are always these fascinating, weird things sometimes that I'm just like, well, there's no way that's going to happen. And then 2018... I've hit most of my dream goals.
See?
Very, very rapidly, quicker than the ones that I was certain would happen.
That's awesome.
So I now live life with the thing of, set your dream goals. If they don't happen, they're just your dream goals. You have the next however you're categorizing, the next month, the next year, whatever, to work on that. This was just, maybe it could have been done, but push yourself. And if you believe in yourself, get a little, get you here, but you can actually want to achieve.
Yeah, because listen, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is gonna.
You need to have that strength and perseverance inside yourself, because you need, no matter how good your relations with people are, you have to show them there's a reason. Sometimes maybe it's shitty that there's not always someone constantly at your back, but you know what? If you're like me, a person who kind of fucked up for most of the first 30 years of their life, you kind of sometimes have to show people, hey, doing better now. You can,
taking it seriously this time.
Yeah, I'm taking stuff seriously. I'm not just sitting around playing video games. I'm sitting around reviewing and actually occasionally getting paid for it. So yeah, that's what meant.
There you go.
Let's talk though. Dream roles, dream franchises, since we kind of segued into that a little bit. So Wonder Woman trailer, but what else? What's another either franchise or specific role, or it could even be an archetype of something that you just think to yourself, I want that.
I want to see a Jane Bond.
Yep. I want to see a Jane Bond that's not treated as some campy haha it's Jane Bond movie. I want to see one that, as much as the campy old Bond stuff was fine. I want to see a Daniel Craig equivalent badass James Bond person.
I will be that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I really love the narrative stuff. I really do. I loved Firewatch. I loved Life is Strange. I love being able to actually care. Not that I don't care with the like grenade, get down, take cover, but it's it's so much easier to step into the skin and live in those characters. I really, really love that, and it's so much fun. I want to do more performance capture. I'm writing a show that is hopefully moving forward, and I want that to come to the screen. I want it all, man. I want it all.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. I mean, just as we said, keep pushing forward, keep finding those things. With your show, I'm not sure if there is anything even to discuss there, or is that just still pretty early?
It's still pretty early on, but it's great. It's really not just because I wrote it, but it's it's new archetypes for girls, and it's long overdue. It's long overdue.
I mean, I think that's extraordinarily important. So, yeah. I think in general we're at a point in reality in life that we need as much as possible. Both, people always say to need more archetypes and stuff for women / girls, so our daughters and stuff like that can have people to believe in. But I have 2 boys. I want them to see girls / women in these roles as well, to understand both their own place in the world and stuff like that. I grew up with a strong, single mother, so that was my way growing up, and I had a lot of interesting aunts and things like that with different perspectives on things. So I got to see a lot of, and my mom worked with a lot of strong women, so I got to see that growing up. But a lot of people, I never saw that on TV outside of maybe Golden Girls, as discussed earlier. There was just a little.
I'm a Dorothy.
There was not a lot of that growing up in the late 80s through the 90s. So we're seeing more of that now. But I want my sons to see what women can be and why. It's a ridiculous statement, but why women matter. I hate that I have to say that, but we live in this bullshit world. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. And that's, it might sound like I'm on a crusade, and I kind of am, because so take my weekly audition load. Mm-hmm. If I have 10 auditions in a week, my male counterparts have 30. Just because people are just used to hearing men on things. And that's been the way that it was, and that's fine. And let's change that. Let's make it 15 and 15. Let's make it 30 and 30, I just want more for me and my sisters and my daughters, and we're out here. So why not fucking represent us?
Hells yeah. No, I'm all about it. Well, just interesting thing happened last night. So we brought on a person, essentially. We're terrible at titles, Constantly Calibrating, but he essentially works in guest acquisitions, for lack of a better term. He knows a lot more people than I do, and I've been busy trying to make new shows, so I have someone looking to get me guests for this show, particularly as we build towards our 300th episode. So he asked me for my dream guest list, and it's just anywhere from, if maybe I can get these people up to the higher people. And I gave him a list of about, I don't know, maybe 40 to 50 people. And I was like a midnight last night, and I'm looking at this list, and I'm like, 40 to 50 people here, but I think only like 4 of them are women. I went through the list like a bunch of times, because all I did was I just went to my following, who I'm following on Twitter and stuff like that, and I just started at that level. And it actually hurt me a little bit, because I'm like, but I know a lot of amazing women and stuff like that, and I know of a lot of amazing women. And then I started thinking, wow, my scope of my worldview is so diminished, because it wasn't just women; it was also there was a lot of white guys on that list. Just to be blunt, like there was just that's how it was, and that's not how I've ever lived or thought I lived my life. But I was like, wow,
that's what's out there.
Yeah, it's what's out there, and it's what you're made aware of. So I realized, wow, my worldview is so diminished, and I gave him a note in my list. I'm like, hey, I don't have enough women on here. I don't have enough diversity of people on here. So I'm calling myself on this bullshit. These are people I want on the show, definitely, but you need to find me other interesting people and increase my awareness of it. of what's out there. Because I'm obviously failing at it.
Oh, good on you. Like, good on you for recognizing that and for trying to make the change. You know, it starts in the little things. It really does.
Well, I've always been a person. I never had guy friends growing up. My first guy friend was in my early to mid 20s. I was always around women, so it's so weird for me to not be aware of women.
But if you're talking about games, like it's 80% male driven.
Yeah.
Right. So I get it, but good on you for recognizing it and wanting to make a change.
I like talking to people. I like talking to people, and let's get all variables of interest. I could talk to the same guy, array of male game developers, but I'm not going to get that perspective of a female game developer or an African American game developer or whomever. So much fucking stuff out there, and there's so many different people. Things. Why keep hitting the same story? What's the fun in that?
Yeah. Well, if I can help at all, let me know.
You know a few people that I want to talk to, so I'm gonna hit you up with some connections. We actually had dinner at this last PAX West with a bunch, where I got to have a nice little panic attack where I thought I was being invited by Ash of Nerd Appropriate to a small little get together with some of the people on the panel I was on and a few other people, and then I walk in, it's like, okay, there's Cissy. Okay, there's the cast of Walking Dead. What the fuck? Where am I? What did I get myself into here?
They're the greatest, most down to earth, wonderful, fantastic human beings on this planet. Oh yeah, they're so great.
Oh no, it was a phenomenal dinner and it was a fun thing. And then I got to mingle and stuff and mostly talk about my kids more than I would have expected. But yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of getting to a nice little wrap up point with chatting, and I know you have a place to be in next little bit. So, anything else on your mind you may want to talk about?
What can I talk about?
Yeah, that's the question. Well, like I want to be like, so what roles do you have coming up? Where are we going with different things? But
there's an animated show out on Amazon called Little Big Awesome. And I play an anthropomorphic male file named Fresha. She's super fun. It's a really sweet show, so definitely check that out. I've got a show coming out on Disney next year, but I don't think I can talk about it. And
I think I saw a loose tease, something related to that.
Yep. A whole lot of video games that I can't say anything about. Oh, the Spyro reignited thing just came out, and I'm the sorceress in that one. Darksiders 3, of course. Please play that and show it some love. Firewatch on the Switch. I don't know what else I can talk about without getting into trouble, so I'm just going to shut my face hole at this point.
You're good. Let's this is good at that, and it opens more opportunities to have you on more shows.
Hell yeah.
Things like that to promote stuff as it come out, or just to shoot the shit.
I love it.
I love talking to you. I mean, essentially, the reason I've been just excited about this, I'm like, so I get to just record a podcast, but I also get to just talk to Cissy again, and it's been too long. So
it has been.
So good stuff, good times. Where can people find you if they don't already know?
I am on the Twitters and the Instagrams at Cissy Speaks. I have a public Facebook thing, but I'm Facebook me. Yeah. So I'd stick with the Twitters and the Instas.
Yep.
So Cissy Speaks with a C.
Should be up. Yeah. It's so for anyone watching the video cast, it's right below and right below her face this whole time. So
yay,
you are good with that. Yeah. So regarding though, Constantly Calibrating. So thank you all for joining us this week. The show is live as we get guests right here on Mixer.com/ConCalPod. We're on Facebook at Facebook.com/ConstantCalibrating. Twitter at ConCalPod. I'm at Bear Punch. You can check Instagram at Instagram.com/ConstantCalibrating. Most importantly, you can check out our Discord at ConstantCalibrating.com/Discord to get the most up-to-date info on everything related to Constant Calibrating, including bonus entries for contests and the ability to further influence our content. Oh, don't forget ConstantCalibrating.com. Site's kind of important. We actually have a written team now. Go read stuff we write. Really depressing seeing 5 clicks on something that's just an immaculate writing. So please make sure to leave us a review wherever you're able to. It really does help get the podcast in front of more listeners. iTunes, Spotify help the most. With that, we bid you a good sign off.